Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is season 6, episode 3. I love how we've started making seasons and episodes in the hope that it makes it easier to remember what it was, and I think I've just completely ignored that whole situation. Anyways, yes, season 6, episode 3. And Emma, this is your first appearance on the podcast this season. Wow! Thanks for coming on. How are we doing?
All right, thank you. I was just telling Amy beforehand, had a bit of the good old winter flu this week, so hopefully coming to the end of it. But other than that, I'm all good. I hope everyone else is good.
Yes, hope you're all good. Hope you're feeling a little bit more positive than we all were on Sunday night after the derby, which, to be honest, that's probably the most of what we're going to sort of chat about today. I think there's a lot to unpack from it. And a lot to unpack from some comments that come out from Matt Beard in particular after the game, which you've probably all heard of anyways, but it'd be nice to sort of for us to delve into that a little bit as well. But initially, obviously, we cannot break this Anfield curse, it seems. A 1-0 loss on Sunday from a Meg Finnegan header, which was the same in 2022, was it? The exact kind of same thing happened again. She absolutely loves a header at Anfield, apparently, so that's absolutely fantastic news for us, isn't it? But yeah, I think you're probably the same, Emma, but it's frustrating now. It's gotten past the point of it being funny. Do you know what I mean? That it's a curse, blah blah blah. It just feels frustrating, and I think you could tell from the Liverpool players at the end of the game how upset they were, obviously coming off the back of a really impressive start to the season. Like I said going into this game, I didn't feel like there was any better time for Liverpool to take on Everton and win that match, and for them to not do that, I think you could definitely tell that the players were pretty downbeat about it.
Yeah, 100%. And actually that point about this being arguably the best time to play Everton, I think is kind of what makes it even more frustrating from a Liverpool point of view, because this is the first time that I felt going into the derby, Liverpool were probably just about favourites in it. I'm not basing that just off the fact of the start of the season, like 2 games is 2 games, but I think towards the end of last season and then going into the start of the season off the back of a strong transfer window and one where Everton lost some key players and they were also very, very injury hit going into the derby on the weekend as well. Everything kind of was in Liverpool's favour, and it was just a bit of a kick in the teeth that they just couldn't get over the line, because they just didn't turn up again, really. The first 5-10 minutes they showed the level that they could play at, and it was just like there was a switch, and all of a sudden Everton I don't actually think still didn't play the way that we saw them play last season. They still haven't been at it this season. And they just kind of did enough to win, and they didn't really have to do that much. Like Liverpool didn't really make them play, they didn't really make them create loads of chances. Liverpool just weren't good enough, and I think that's the most frustrating thing, is that it's time and time again now. It's fine to say at the first time it's the occasion got the better of them, and then maybe the next time it's like, okay, well, they're still fairly new to the WSL, and now it's like there kind of isn't really an excuse for that performance. So that was the most frustrating thing from my point of view.
Yeah, and like you alluded to, like the first 5 or 10 minutes, obviously Missy Vokens gets the ball in the back of the net. I'm gonna be honest, real time, I thought it was offside. From the angle we were sat at, it felt like she was actually a little bit further offside than originally thought as well. But then we seen the proper replay and the breakdown at halftime. She's onside, and obviously we can sit here till we're blue in the face going, oh well, if that goal was in, like the game might have completely been different, might have changed, whatever. But I think you're right in the case that they just didn't turn up, and that feels so alien at the minute, doesn't it? Because they've started so well and against really good teams as well, and it is just frustrating. But what, in your opinion, what do you think, apart from turning up, probably Liverpool can do to finally kind of get ahead of Everton and win those games that are at Anfield? It can't be just the occasion anymore that kind of psychologically does something to them. It's just, what do you think that they can do to try and put this sort of right next time?
First of all, I'm all for playing games at Anfield. 100% think it's important to play games at Anfield, but at the moment they can't seem to just beat Everton. So I would take the fixture away from Anfield until they can start beating Everton, because Everton are one of those teams, the likes of Villa as well, maybe Brighton and Tottenham now, that are wanting to be in that kind of top half of the middle table bracket where they're pushing the top 4 teams and they want to be finishing 5th and 6th. And I think there's going to be a real battle for sort of 5th and 6th place this season. Obviously, Everton finished 6th last season, so they're like definitely in there. And it's like Liverpool are now wanting to be in that bracket of teams. And if they do, then teams like Everton and Brighton, etc., they have to be getting points off. And if you can't win, then you can't afford to lose. So the fact that, Liverpool haven't even been able to get a point from Everton in the last, couple of derbies as well, it has been defeats. I just think it's really, really damaging. And it's getting to the point that it's now becoming a mindset thing that the players just think that they can't beat Everton. So I would just take this fixture away from Anfield. It's become too big. It's come to the point where, and I genuinely don't believe that the occasion's got too big for the players. I just think the pressure of having to win has become too big against Everton in particular. So take the game back to Prenton Park, where there's such a good atmosphere there. The team has got such a good home record there as well. Everton's one of the biggest games in the season, not just obviously because it's Merseyside Derby, but in terms of, as I've said, like the actual league table standings. If you want to be finishing the best of the rest, then at the moment Everton are in that bracket as one of the best of the rest. So it's actually a really, really important game in terms of the fixtures as well. So I just think take it back to Prenton Park, where you've got the strong home record, you've got a good crowd there. You know that you're guaranteed to get your season ticket holders, and you know where they are, and there's just that kind of familiarity that it kind of whittles everything down. So it is literally just a case of, okay, just go out there and do what you usually do. So until that happens, I just think, get it away from Anfield. You can play any other game at Anfield, like play Leicester City, play Chelsea, where you've got a free hit and there's nothing to lose. When there's so much on the line, I just think just play where it best suits you. Like, this was an argument that I know Manchester United had in the Champions League. There was loads of calls for them to play at Old Trafford against PSG because it was such a big fixture. And I spoke to a couple of people at the club, and I'm sure there was other reasons as to why, you look at security and costs, etc., in terms of Old Trafford hosting the game. But Man United said simply, we want to play at Leeds Sports Village because that's where
they've built their community there as well, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. They've got a fan base there, they've got a fortress there. And they've just got a familiarity with it. And I just think, Chelsea have done the same. Emma Hayes has said that about Kings Meadow so many times. And Prenton Park is a place that you speak to any manager in the WSL. No team wants to go to Prenton Park. Like, they hate it. It's such a hard place to go. Anfield, it hasn't got that. So
no, it hasn't built that up yet.
So I just think, just get it away from Anfield. Don't play a Merseyside Derby at Anfield until Liverpool have beaten Everton.
It's interesting. Like you said, you didn't think it was a occasion thing, and you're right. Like, we played at the Emirates on the opening day and we won. Like, it's so strange why this seems to happen, and it's really frustrating. I think that's the overriding feeling about it. And something else that was a bit strange was the fact that there were Everton supporters in the Kop. I was like, what? It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that can never happen again. I mean, that's another thing. If you are going to have the games at Anfield, like, I don't care how much money it costs to open the other stand, there is no way Evertonians should ever be celebrating in the Kop. Like, that is genuinely disgusting. Like, I'm not having it.
Yeah, it was really weird, and I don't know whether this is like attributed towards that or whatever, but I did feel at times throughout the game the atmosphere was really flat, and all the
Yeah.
times that we've had the derby at Anfield, I've never felt that before. That we've always had a couple of chants going, like maybe they're not as frequent as it would be in the men's game, for example, but it's there and it was present, and I didn't feel like it was as present, and I'm wondering whether the fact that the fans were sort of split up, obviously half in Kenny and then half in the Kop, and they were separated by those Everton fans in the Kop. Do you think maybe that had a bit of an impact on the atmosphere, the fact that they were split up in that way?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And then I also think, to put it sort of crudely, it was just not a very good game of football. I think like both teams would hold their hands up. Like I say, I don't think Everton played well. You know, they did what they needed to do, but they can play a lot better.
Yeah.
And Liverpool didn't play very well. So I don't think it helped that the game itself was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I 100% agree. Like the way that the fans were segregated, and
Very strange.
yeah, the whole day was strange. And I think
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to. So like when I say I don't think the occasion gets the better of the players, I don't think that, but I do think footballers have routines, and there's certain things that they do on match day, and as soon as if you change the environment and you change where you're playing, you change your journey to the stadium, you change the changing rooms that you used to getting ready, the tunnel that you walk through, the pitch that you warm up on, like everything is different, and I just think that does have an impact. And when you haven't got your fans in the same place and all those kind of things, it's just those nuances which it can just take, like when you're not on it, which they obviously weren't on the day, then those sort of things just I think make such a big difference.
Yeah, and in terms of actually on the pitch then, obviously we saw Sophie Roman-Haag make her competitive debut with her mask on. What did you make of what you saw of her for that? Did she get subbed off in like the 60th minute? Is it when they made them 4 substitutes all at the same time? What did you make of a first impression of seeing her in action?
Yeah, I actually thought she really struggled. Obviously, she's not been able to play much given that face injury that she got on international duty. And I know we were saying in the press box that it looked like that seemed to affect her vision a little bit. Her passing was pretty wayward, and her first touch wasn't as good as I expected it to be from her. And you don't know how much the mask plays a part, but I know certainly I remember when Lauren Hemp had to wear it for an England game, and she ended up coming off early, and Serena Wiegman said that basically just like Lauren just couldn't play with the mask, and it was a real issue. So I think I can't say his name, Son Heung-min said the same thing when he used to have to wear it with Tottenham and South Korea. So I do think that is a massive caveat to her performance. But just in general, I just think her positioning was really off in the first half. Like, I know there was instances where like maybe Bo Kearns was pressing from the front and Comfy wasn't going with her at the same time, and Kerry Holland was then getting frustrated, and you could see her sort of shouting and trying to direct it a little bit more. And I just think that will come with time. I think she really struggled actually.
There's a lot. I think there's a lot still that we can see from her in the future once she sort of nestles into the squad a little bit more, has a bit more time playing with the players in training, and then obviously game time as well is important. Think someone again who I think this now is becoming their fan page is Jenna Clark. I am so impressed with her, and I'll be brutally honest, I didn't know too much about her before she signed. I didn't know what kind of signing she would be, or whether she would be a regular starter. I didn't have an idea, but honestly, she's blown my expectations of her out the park, and it's only been 3 games. She is like a Rolls Royce. I know everyone uses that term quite a lot in football, but I genuinely feel like she is. I've never seen someone be so calm when under pressure. And I know obviously the game ends in a defeat, but I don't feel like she put a foot wrong. She probably could have been the one who was marking Megan Campbell considering the height. But I'll let that one slide for now. But yeah, I think massively good addition to this team. And
Yeah.
I think there's also feels like there's more to see from her as well.
Yeah, I know, like, I was similar to you, like I hadn't seen her play much. I know that she was massively, highly rated over in Scotland, and Glasgow City fans were devastated that she was leaving. So but the Scottish League is one thing. You don't know how she's going to adapt to the WSL. But yeah, I mean, she's taken to it like a duck on water, and I just think you're right. Like, she's so composed on the ball. And what's really kind of struck me is that I'd heard kind of all these qualities, which she's obviously shown, but what I hadn't heard was kind of how much of a leader she was. So I wasn't really expecting that. And I just think she's been really, really mature, and she's kind of taken control of the back line. You think you've got people in there like Gemma Bonner, who is obviously a huge player for Liverpool and a massively experienced leader. And Jenna Clark just bosses it around as if she's kind of been in that back line forever. And I just think it's really, really good. And yeah, I think particularly in the second half at Anfield, I think she really, really stepped up in the second half, and she looked really good. And I'm sure we'll talk about this, but obviously she's got the call up to the Scotland squad as well. So she's been rewarded for her performances.
She does. Well, we'll go straight into it then. There's been, obviously, with international break just around the corner, there's been a couple of call-ups for the Liverpool team, and over the years we've never had too many players head out on international duty, which probably was a good thing in some parts for us if we're being selfish and injuries and all that. But two in particular, obviously, there's a couple of usuals that do go away, like your Fuka Naganos and Missy Bokerns, but we'll start with Jenna Clark getting her Scotland national team sign up for, is it the Netherlands that they're playing against?
I think so.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, well, because England are playing Belgium. So there you go.
So that must be amazing for her, and I think absolutely well deserved.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I was quite surprised not to see her in the last squad, actually. Obviously, Scotland played England in that last international camp, and I thought, obviously Scotland played well against England, but they definitely were lacking something at the back. I think actually if England had taken their chances, the scoreline might have been much higher. But I know, speaking to quite a lot of the Scottish journalists there, that there was definitely some surprise as to why she wasn't in that squad. So I think it was a matter of time, really. And she's obviously, gone, and rather than feeling deflated that she hasn't made the squad, she's gone and shown just why she should be in it and produced excellent performances, and obviously shown that she can do it at the highest level in the WSL against opposition like Arsenal and Aston Villa, who've got some of the best forwards in the league. So I think it's really, really good for her. It's really good for Scotland, and I'm intrigued to see how much game time she'll get. I think if she I think if they start her in these games, then I do think she'll make a big impact for them.
Definitely. If her impact is anything to go by how it's been at Liverpool, definitely. I think we'll see it quite frequently. And someone else who has got a call up, who I can't remember how many seasons ago now it was that she last did. I don't think it was last season or the season before, but it might have been the one before that, is Jana Daniels. Obviously, lovely for her to be called up to the Belgian squad against England, as we just said.
Yeah.
So that's amazing news for her as well. I think she has progressed. Like last season, her crossing ability and the press from her last season was really good and helped us at times. And it's great to see that her sort of work rate and everything has been highly congratulated by getting taken up into the team again. Yeah,
and I think one of Jana's best strengths as a footballer, obviously there's all the qualities on the pitch, but I think she's a really good squad player. And I that sounds really patronizing, but I think on an international level that is so important, that you've got players who understand kind of the role of being a squad player. So I can't imagine her going to Belgium and expecting to be getting lots of game time in back-to-back headers against England that are obviously in the Women's Nations League. So it's not like it's friendlies, it's competitive games. She might just have to bide her time, and I think she's shown over the last couple of seasons, in particular with Liverpool, that she is the type of player who will train very, very well. Obviously has a presence in the dressing room, and then she can come on and do whatever job that is you want her to do. You know, we've seen her do different parts of the game depending on what Liverpool need at that time. You know, if they need somebody to come in and hold the ball up, she can do that. If they need somebody to run their legs off and I don't know, maybe link up with the midfield, she can do that. If you need someone to do the defensive side of the work, she can do that. So I just think she's one of these players that as a manager you really, really like working with, because she gives you what you want. And she's not, don't get me wrong, every footballer obviously wants to start games, and you know, she'll be wanting to start and get a chance, but equally she's not going to be sulking and not going to be knocking on the manager's door constantly asking questions. She'll just be happy to do what's best for the team, and I think that'll be really valuable for Belgium.
Yeah, for sure. Very happy for everyone who got called up, and hopefully they come back injury free. That would be absolutely divine. Final thing then, as we come to a close, again, just moving a little bit back onto the Merseyside Derby. Some comments from the gaffer Matt Beard himself when we were in the mixed zone post match. Obviously, he was very, very disappointed with the result. And there was some questions sort of raised by him about the refereeing level, not just in this game but the league in total so far. And I think this obviously stemmed a little bit from the offside goal being disallowed, or the onside goal. I don't know which way you're going to say now, because it was onside, but it wasn't. Do you know what I mean? And I think to sort of paraphrase, I think one of the words quite strongly that he used was embarrassing, which is quite a bold word to use, obviously, when speaking to several members of the media. What did you take away from his thoughts, and how do you sort of view that situation?
First of all, I'm surprised he's not being fined, and I think he probably should have been. So he's got away with one there. Secondly, I was quite disappointed in his comments. I understand why. He was obviously frustrated. Merseyside Derby, emotions running high.
Yeah.
But I think he used the defeat as an opportunity to highlight an issue, which a lot of people have anyway, and I just don't think it was the right time to do it. And actually, it kind of masked a performance that just simply wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
You know, he can complain about the offside decision, maybe controversially. Yeah, I have seen the replay. I do think it was slightly on. I think she was slightly onside, but I don't think it was so obvious. And you know, I think actually it's quite a great call. And I just think it's one of those where I'm like, not really that worked up about it. You know, I've seen them give and I've seen them haven't, but it's not glaringly obvious. So I'm kind of like, look, let's pass that by. Liverpool, and
they also had the rest of the game to put it right as well.
Exactly. So that was what I was going to say. You know, like they then had a chance. Kerry Holland hit the crossbar afterwards. So you can't. His argument that it changed the momentum of the game, well, it didn't, because Liverpool could have scored straight away afterwards. So, I just think for the next 85 minutes or so, Everton were the better team. And his comments for me was an excuse for a performance that wasn't good enough. So, yeah. But then on the other hand, I think there is an issue with the officials in the WSL. Yeah. This isn't a secret. Managers have spoken about it. We know that they're not full-time. They haven't got the technology to support them.
Yeah.
And this is an ongoing issue, but I just think it was a bit poor. It was a pop to have, just to have a bit of a go at some officials who I actually thought on the whole did fine. You know, there wasn't anything that I was like, that's horrendous. They completely ruined the game.
Yeah.
I disagreed with his comments, and I thought they were really strong and not really needed.
Yeah, well, this weekend the Reds have a chance to put it right against West Ham away from home. So on Sunday, make sure you stay tuned with that, and hopefully we'll see a happier Matt Beers. That would be lovely. But yeah, that's kind of everything for today. A little dive into the derby there, although it was a bit painful to have to go through it all again. But you know, we'll get over that one.
It's fine. The next one's a bit Brenton.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But yes, thanks for joining us this week, Emma. It's nice to have you back and chatting away again. It's lovely.
No worries. Thanks for having me on. Nice to see you.
Oh, bless you. Nice to see you too. If you haven't seen the picture with us and Emma, go look. It's lovely. Thanks everyone for joining us this week and watching along. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Go check out the post-match content from the derby. That's all up on our channel and ready to watch whenever you desire. But yes, thanks all for watching, and we'll see you next week with another podcast. Bye.
Bye.